After 9 years of the NDP Liberals, taxes up, costs up, crime's up, time's up. Today, we'll vote to trigger a carbon tax election between the costly carbon tax coalition of NDP Liberals who tax your food, punish your work, double your housing cost, and unleash crime and chaos, or common sense Conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Why can't we bring it home today?
Mr. Speaker, again, with the clever little performance of slogans he's memorized without any actual solutions for Canadians. He doesn't care about Canadians. He cares about his own political self-interest. If he cared about Canadians, he wouldn't have voted against dental care. He wouldn't have voted against more spaces at $10 a day childcare. He wouldn't have voted against initiatives that are growing the economy, putting more money in people's pockets. He wants a climate change election. Let's have that election in the right time where we're putting more money in the pockets of Canadians. This is not the time for that. We're going to continue to deliver for Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, he just said he wants a carbon tax election on his plan to quadruple the tax to 61 cents a litre. If so, will he call it today?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I believe this on today, we will see that this House does not have confidence in the leader of the Conservative Party. We are focused on delivering for Canadians the things that actually matter, while he's focused on slogans and clapping.
Mr. Speaker, he's concerned that we're clapping for him.
The Conservative leader doesn't understand math or economics. What's increasingly clear is he doesn't understand science as well. That's why I'd be happy to give him a briefing on the science of climate change, and good news on this one, it doesn't require a security clearance for it.
Order, please.
The Honourable Member from Burnaby South.
Privatizing healthcare means telling people you either pay up or go to the back of the line. Daniel Smith is privatizing healthcare in Alberta right now, and this Prime Minister is doing nothing about it. Doug Ford is privatizing healthcare in Ontario, and the Prime Minister praises him. Why is this weak Prime Minister letting Conservatives tear down our healthcare system?
I see that the Prime Minister is rising on his feet. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, on this side of the House, we have always defended universal health care, and we will continue to do. But the member opposite has a point. In those provinces, the NDP was unable to stop Conservatives from getting elected and weakening universal health care in all those places. That is why we are going to continue to stand up for universal health care, to stand up for progressive values, and indeed, to stand up to Conservatives.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Power to stop them, but it's too weak to do it.
Prime Minister that's cutting health care. His carbon tax will cost hospitals across this country in heat, in laundry services, in delivering medical equipment. Calculations by the Saskatchewan government show that the carbon tax will cost $175 million, equal to the loss of 1,900 nurses, all to pay the Prime Minister's greedy quadrupling carbon tax. Why won't he get his hands out of the pockets of the provinces and allow our premiers to fund health care?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The Canada Carbon Rebate puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadian families right across the country while it fights climate change, while it creates growth. Mr. Speaker, fighting climate change is about building a better future for Canadians. This summer alone, insurers are estimating that $7.7 billion in losses are being covered for that. That is something that we have to step up on right now. And the Conservative leader, who doesn't even believe climate change is real, wants to do absolutely nothing about it. That's not good for Canadians. That's not good for our economy.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Hospitals don't get the Canada Carbon Rebate. A measly little check would not replace the $175 million that Saskatchewan hospitals are going to lose to heat themselves, to power their machinery, to deliver their goods. And yet, that's what the Prime Minister imposes. 1,900 nurses could lose their jobs in one province alone because of his greedy carbon tax quadrupling. Why won't he accept our common sense plan to axe the tax and boost funds for health care?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The fact is, climate change will cost everyone in health outcomes, in growth outcomes, in harm to our economy, in harm to our future. He has no plan to fight climate change. Our plan not only fights climate change, it makes emissions lower, puts more growth on the books, and puts more money in the pockets out of 8 out of 10 Canadians, the middle class, and those working hard to join it.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
More disinformation from a flailing and desperate Prime Minister clinging to power. I voted in this Parliament to increase health funding, and in the previous government voted to increase it by 70%, more than his government had. More than that, we did not impose a carbon tax on hospitals. He claims that people are going to get checks. 1,900 nurses could lose their jobs because of the carbon tax in one province alone. A phony rebate check will not make the difference. Now he wants to quadruple the tax to 61 cents a litre. How many nurses are going to lose their jobs while hospitals are stuck paying this quadrupling tax?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, he refers to the Canada Carbon Rebate as a phony check. At least he recognizes that it exists, which is new from just a few months ago. The Canada Carbon Rebate, as defined by, investigated by the Parliamentary Budget Officer, puts more money, hundreds of dollars, back in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians, exactly the middle class and those working hard to join it, who need support while we fight climate change, while we reduce emissions, while we grow a stronger economy with good jobs for future generations. He has no plan for the economy, no plan for the future.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
My common sense plan is to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. But let's talk about education. Talk about education. The carbon tax will cost Saskatchewan schools $204 million. That's the equivalent of approximately 2,000 teachers losing their jobs, all to pay tax to heat schools in cold Saskatchewan winters. Why is the Prime Minister forcing provinces to cut teachers and education to pay for his greedy quadrupling carbon tax?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
He goes once again with his little performances, Mr. Speaker, the little rhymes and slogans. The reality facing Canadians right across the country, including in Saskatchewan, is wildfires, droughts, floods, issues that are being increased because of the impacts of climate change. And if we do not continue to take ambitious action, future generations will pay dearly for inaction by governments like the government in Saskatchewan that he wants to emulate. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we put more money in people's pockets while fighting climate change, and we're going to keep doing that.
Mr. Speaker, screaming and hollering will not distract from the very serious question I asked. can he tell us how many nurses and how many teachers will lose their jobs because his greedy carbon tax quadrupling will drive up costs to heat schools and hospitals? How many?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, teachers and nurses across the country are terrified of conservative policies that cut programs, that cut services, that cut supports for the most vulnerable, for those who work hard to care for other Canadians, whether it's their opposition to pharmacare, which would be delivering free insulin and free prescription contraceptives, whether it's investing in a school food program going to help 400,000 kids with more food right across the country. That leader has opposed the things that nurses and teachers care most about. So let's not take any lessons from that guy.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He goes from screaming and waving his arms around erratically when I mention the carbon tax to bragging about a program that doesn't even exist. His multi-million-dollar school food program hasn't served a single ham sandwich, a single little bowl of Kraft dinner, not one meal to one child.
I will tell you, Mr. Speaker, because I once had a job as a teacher, and I was proud of serving kids every day. I haven't just been in this house for 20 years like the Leader of the Opposition.
Colleagues. The Honourable Prime Minister, 15 seconds left on the clock.
Yes, I was proud to be a school teacher, Mr. Speaker, because it was a way of having a positive impact on the lives of thousands of kids over the course of my career. And I'm proud to bring their voices here into this House and continue to put forward how we support our kids, how we support the vulnerable, as opposed to the cuts that they propose.